after a flurry of explosive allegations started making the rounds online late yesterday night. Fans are shocked, perplexed, and constantly debating. Blogs, fan pages, and gossip channels began to feature headlines suggesting that Mendeecees might have discreetly apologized to Tamar Braxton for startling HIV-related rumors that should never have come to light. To be clear, these are opinions and reports that are circulating online rather than verified facts. However, this hasn't stopped the internet from exploding. Emotions were running high as those reports came to light. They shared screenshots. Timelines were inundated with reaction videos. Supporters began repeatedly posing the same query: how did things get so out of control? And why does Tamar's name appear again in the midst of such a delicate and agonizing story? This feels different, darker, more intimate, and far more volatile than the typical celebrity back and forth. According to people who have followed these reality TV circles for years, as stated by fans claim that once Long Yandy's name was abruptly brought up in online talk, the situation worsened. Her response, according to others, conveyed more than words could. Her quiet, according to some, was the biggest answer of all. In any case, the public opinion court left the family split. Fans are picking sides. Comment sections became battlegrounds very immediately. A few viewers called for responsibility. Motives were questioned by others. Many questioned whether, even in the realm of reality TV drama, these rumors went too far. "This isn't entertainment anymore," an admirer commented. "This is dangerous," one person retorted. "If these reports are even half true, then the apology says everything." According to sources, behind-the-scenes exchanges were tense, emotions were raw, and long-standing wounds were abruptly opened. Reputation, damage control, and allegations of betrayal, savings started to circulate along with rumors of furious conversations and private calls. With each posting, the narrative continued to gain traction despite the lack of official confirmation. Fans are now forced to question whether these rumors are accurate. What actually took place in private? Why right now? Furthermore, how does Yandy actually feel? Like you're witnessing this all happen in real time. Stay put, because this narrative will never die. 2 of the specifics that will be covered next. The online discussion didn't start out quietly. It began with a flurry of posts asserting that fresh information regarding a possible private apology that occurred behind closed doors was making the rounds. The apology was purportedly linked to past HIV-related allegations that had Tamar's name associated with them in ways that many viewers found unsettling. According to gossip websites and fan groups, fans responded as though a bomb had gone off. Although these are reports that are being discussed rather than actual occurrences, timelines full of shock, rage, and inquiries about how something so delicate could ever be a topic of conversation on reality TV. Online comments suggested that the emotional strain of the rumors had now reached a breaking point, at least according to people close to the matter. According to some stories, Mendeecees felt cornered by the criticism, while others stated the pressure came from witnessing how rapidly the story went out of control. Fans noted that there is no such thing as innocuous gossip when health-related charges are involved. Many believed that even unsubstantiated gossip had already caused harm, and emotions were running high. Supporters of Tamar were very outspoken. Comment sections were inundated with comments, stating that her name ought never to have been included in such conjecture, while one admirer stated it seemed awful to watch the rumor spread. Another countered that once something like that is spoken, it never really vanishes. Others pointed out that although Tamar has been candid about many aspects of her life, this went beyond what ought to have been left unsaid. Almost immediately, the tone on the internet changed from curiosity to wrath. Amid all of this commotion, rumors started circulating that an apology had been made in private. According to some stories, it came via middlemen. It was direct. According to others, there are no screenshots or recordings, only people claiming to have heard about it. Fans, however, embraced the concept. Many claimed that if someone felt compelled to offer an apology, it indicated that they were aware of the extent of the rumors. Others disagreed, arguing that an apology does not always equate to guilt, particularly when gossip culture is twisting the facts. The purported emotional background was what fueled the flames. Tension, restless nights, and regretful chats were depicted in online forums. The apology, according to others, was weighty, passionate, and full of phrases like miscommunication and misunderstanding. Fans couldn't stop guessing about what was said and how it was received, even if it's unclear if it is factual or just a part of the dramatized story. Yandy came next. Reports that are making the rounds at the same time. Her response turned into a narrative unto itself. Everything from her quiet to her social media activities was scrutinized by fans. In recent appearances, she appeared composed yet aloof. According to some, others argued that her deliberate silence was a means of managing the story without contributing to it. Reality TV watchers contended that silence in such situations frequently indicates a deeper issue. Commentary channels off camera started speculating that Yandy was trapped in a storm she did not cause, but was unable to flee. The notion under discussion was that public perception, family image, and loyalty were all simultaneously at odds. Fans argued whether she should speak up to protect herself, put herself at a distance, or remain silent and let the commotion die down. Every choice appeared dangerous, and viewers could sense the strain from the outside at the same time. Some internet users questioned why these rumors were permitted to spread in the first place. Bloggers were blamed by some, others placed blame reality TV culture itself, claiming that the distinction between harm and amusement has become more hazy due to dramatic narrative. Health-related allegations should never be viewed as plot twists. According to many fans, they claimed that when there are no boundaries, commentary can easily become deadly. As the days went by, the narrative continued to change based more on responses than on facts. Tamar, according to some supporters, was hurt yet calm. Some said that she was enraged behind the scenes. Even though none of this was verified, the audience felt that the emotional stakes were genuine. Respect, responsibility, and how stated or implied comments can create long-lasting scars even after they are later walked back were all discussed. The alleged apologies evolved from an incident to a symbol. For a few, it was an effort to halt the bleeding. Others thought it was too late. Fans wondered whether relationships could get back to normal after something like this, and discussions about betrayal and trust dominated forums. Many claimed that the dynamic is permanently altered when health-related issues are brought forward. Regardless of the number of explanations that come after, reaction videos kept accumulating views in the meantime. Tone, accountability, and intent were discussed by the creators. Some adopted a compassionate posture, claiming that errors occur when under duress. Some were harsh, stating that this should never have occurred in the first place. The crowd was divided, which only contributed to the story's expansion. The most notable aspect of the story was how intimate it seemed, even though it was based on rumors and reports. Emotions were heightened by fans projecting their personal experiences onto the circumstance. Some talked about loved ones who were dealing with similar problems and stated it was upsetting to see such accusations made in rumors. Others stated that this incident should serve as a warning about the extent to which entertainment commentary might go in order to gain attention. One thing became evident to spectators who were paying close attention by the conclusion of this section of the conversation. The reports alone had already altered public perceptions of all those involved. Regardless of what actually transpired behind closed doors, trust was shaken, lines seemed crossed, and the internet once again demonstrated how easily conjecture can escalate into an uncontrollable, full-blown storm. New layers were added by those observing from the outside as the conversation continued to grow. In an attempt to make connections that might not have been intended, fans started playing back old interviews, moments from reality shows, and disputes from the past. Commentary online claims that this is the point at which the story changed from a single apologies rumor to a more complex emotional tale involving history, animosity, and unresolved tension that had reportedly been simmering beneath the surface for years. Tamar has frequently discussed feeling misinterpreted and misrepresented in the public spotlight. As many viewers noted, therefore, when her name was linked to anything as serious as rumors about her health, followers stated rather than merely her reputation, it seemed to be an assault on her humanity. She was taken aback by how quickly the reports spread. According to reaction posts, especially since no official statement ever verified any of the allegations being discussed. Some claim that it might be offensive to even hear your name associated with such a thing. Online voices started speculating on what those private times must have been like, whether or not it is genuine. Some said the talks were tense, with old grievances resurfacing and emotions overflowing. Others said that the apology under discussion was more about recognizing the harm caused by letting rumors spread unchecked than it was about owning up to mistakes. Once more, none of this was confirmed, but viewers who felt highly affected by the emotional framework immersed in the individual's personalities. At the same time, Yandy came under increased scrutiny. Commentary channels conjectured that she was juggling a complex mixture of loyalty and annoyance. Fans disagreed as to whether she was acting as a mediator, a protector, or just attempting to maintain stability in her family. As mayhem erupted all around them, every action she took, a post, a like, a caption, was scrutinized. It was considered a statement even when there was no activity. Yandy's silence, according to some followers, was deliberate since she knew how easily words might be misinterpreted. Others believed that her subdued demeanor conveyed a sense of weariness or despair. Reaction videos frequently stop on her recent appearances, examining each frame of her facial expressions. Even though nothing was said aloud, viewers reported feeling tension. The sense of external pressure was also raised by the story being debated online. Some conjectured that friends, management teams, or even network insiders advocated for a more composed approach to stop additional harm. Others asserted that the apology rumor was a part of an attempt to change the plot before it got out of control. Debates among fans over whether this was intentional image repair or a sincere concern simply increased interaction. As the days passed, more fantastical aspects were added to the narrative. According to commentary, private chats were intense, with moments of introspection interspersed with heated shouts. Some said there were tears involved. Others spoke of heavy silences and protracted pauses, during which nothing could be uttered to reverse what had already been suggested. Once more, these were interpretations rather than verified happenings, but they contributed to the dramatic tone that fans anticipated. The reaction of enlarged circles was another component that became popular. Online rumors claimed that friends and associates were split. Some were reportedly calling for understanding and healing, while others believed that boundaries had been irreversibly crossed. Supporters took sides, imposing their personal ideals onto the circumstances. A recurrent subject in comment sections was forgiveness versus accountability. Even in the absence of evidence, the story's emotional realism was what kept it compelling. Viewers stated that this was more about how easily reputations and emotional health can be damaged in public than it was about who said what. Discussions centered on the notion that a rumor by itself may compel individual apologies. People questioned whether silence itself had become a sort of guilt due to the internet's current power. The story also included Tam's imagined reaction. She would accept an apology, according to some supporters, but she would never forget the suffering. Others argued that going forward, she would set clear limits. She was portrayed in commentary as someone who stood her ground and refused to be defined by conjecture. Despite the fact that nothing had been officially verified, this representation increased the number of people who supported her and praised her fortitude. In the meantime, discussions concerning accountability persisted. Some viewers contended that in order to stop damaging discourse, everyone engaged ought to have spoken up sooner. Responding, according to others, just feeds rumors. The story survived because there were no definitive solutions, which allowed for countless interpretations. The rumor mill started fusing imagination and feeling as time went on. People began talking about how they may engage in the future. Would there be uncomfortable interactions? Would partnerships undergo irreversible change? Fans pictured tense reunions and well-chosen phrases. Despite being hypothetical, these events felt plausible enough to keep viewers interested. Boundaries were the larger issue that surfaced from all of this discussion. This incident, according to many fans, demonstrated how far entertainment narratives may go before veering into perilous terrain. They contended that health should never be used as a theatrical element. Others retorted that it is hard to completely control anything once it enters public discourse. One aspect of the online discussion persisted throughout all of this. Even as outsiders, people were profoundly impacted. Emotions were running high. The consequences seemed heavy, not because the facts were known. Have faith, respect, and dignity were being discussed in real time. By now, the tale had evolved beyond a rumor of an apology. It had developed into an illustration of how fast rumors can alter interpersonal connections and public opinion. Fans kept checking their feeds in anticipation of an explanation that never materialized. However, the commentary itself became into the drama's main engine, advancing the story through emotion rather than validation. The attention gradually switched from what was purportedly said to what the incident showed about each individual involved. As the online storm continued to intensify, commentary pages started portraying the stories as a warning, claiming that they were more about how quickly narratives can spiral out of control once feelings and presumptions take over than they were about a single rumor. In addition to the apologies under discussion, fans began to raise more in-depth queries about how silence and conjecture undermine trust. Depending on who was speaking, Mendeecees was portrayed in two very different ways, according to several online commentators. According to one side, he was attempting to extinguish a fire that he had no intention of starting. On the other hand, he was portrayed as negligent for allowing his name to be associated with such rumors in the first place. Reaction videos demonstrated how split the audience was by occasionally playing two perspectives within the same clip. As viewers imputed purpose when none had been verified, emotions ran high. The discussion of individual accountability became more prevalent. People argued over whether prominent personalities had a larger responsibility to stop damaging conversations right away or whether answering just feeds rumors. Many contended that hesitancy can seem like apathy when health-related issues are involved. Others retaliated by saying, the internet demands instant reactions without considering the emotional toll of addressing something so invasive. Fans also started making assumptions about private talks that might have taken place long before these accusations came to light. Unresolved tension, according to some, has been silently growing over ages, waiting for a spark to ignite it. Others described the issue as a miscommunication that was exacerbated by the culture of gossip. The drama was enhanced by both interpretations, which added layers of made-up backstory to make the story seem more complex. Even if it was predicated on conjecture, Yandy continued to play a major role in these conversations. Not because of what she said, but rather because of what she chose not to say. Her silence was portrayed by commentary channels as an attempt to strike a balance between defending her family and not encouraging rumors. Fans analyzed her public appearances, pointing out times when she appeared calm but cautious. Some claimed to have found strength in her self-control. Others saw it as annoyance that she decided not to express in public. Discussions of emotional labor resulted from this. Viewers talked on how frequently women are expected to clarify, resolve conflicts, or speak up for others in these circumstances. Many contended that Yandy shouldn't be forced to bear the emotional burden of a circumstance that she didn't cause. Others, however, maintained that her viewpoint could provide clarity. As the story grew, it became impossible to ignore the involvement of fans, even though clarity might not be attainable since the story itself is based on reports rather than facts. Comment sections evolved into group therapy sessions where individuals shared first-hand accounts of how assumptions and rumors had impacted their own lives. The distinction between entertainment and living experience was muddled by this emotional commitment. According to viewers, this is why this narrative resonated in a distinct way. It discussed vulnerability, fear, and the lingering effects of careless remarks. According to some commentary, Tamar's strength was not giving a direct response. Supporters pictured her refusing to give air and preferring calm over public discourse. Two assertions that never merited consideration. Others speculated that she might be deliberately keeping quiet, so the commotion could reveal itself as conjecture without her having to participate. In any case, her admirers commended her for remaining dignified in the face of pandemonium. The topic of repair also entered the discussion. The question of whether genuine or rumored apologies may actually repair the harm created by public conjecture was discussed. Acknowledgement, according to some, is the first step towards recovery. Some said that once certain lines were crossed, changed people's perceptions of one another forever, because it mirrored difficulties that many people could relate to in their own lives. This tension kept viewers interested. Reaction films started portraying the event as a watershed. According to the creators, this could alter how gossip is handled in the future by requiring greater prudence when discussing delicate subjects. That notion was ridiculed by skeptics, who said that the cycle would start over as soon as the next big news emerged. However, the conversation itself indicated a communal pause, during which viewers contemplated the morality of consuming and disseminating unsubstantiated claims. Reputation management gave rise to another layer. Teams working behind the scenes were reportedly keeping a careful eye on responses, gauging mood, and determining whether or not to step in. This concept was criticized by some fans who claimed it reduced real feeling to strategy. Others thought that managing narratives to avoid long-term harm was an essential part of public life. The longer the narrative continued, the more it became symbolic. It illustrated the brittleness of public trust and the weaponization of narratives. Viewers claimed that this was about a system that prioritizes anger and quickness over accuracy and care, rather than just one rumor. The story gained depth beyond its initial spark thanks to such reflections. Imagined scenarios filled the voids left by quiet while conjecture persisted. Supporters imagined tough talks, introspective times, and private decisions made away from cameras. With each retelling, these imagined occurrences were included into the common communal narrative. The absence of confirmation did not undermine the story. By allowing room for feeling and interpretation, it made it stronger. For those who were closely following, one sentiment persisted throughout it all: uncertainty. People were unaware of what they felt the weight of what was being addressed. But it actually happened. The story was sustained by this emotional weight, which advanced it through collective responses rather than confirmed facts. The crowd started to sense whatever the reality might be as the conversation became more thoughtful. By the time the discussion got to this point, the rumors had already changed how everyone participating would be perceived going forward. Many fans believed that the matter had escalated much beyond a few internet remarks or a single rumor. Social media commentary indicated that the emotional repercussions was now the main story. People were discussing how something so delicate could take on a life of its own without any verified facts, rather than who said what. Viewers reported that it seemed like observing a gradual, unpleasant unraveling in which the spectator, who had only glimpses of the story, was judging all those involved in real time. Some online voices started pointing out how people might be forced into corners by constant public scrutiny, analysis, and conjecture. This pressure is difficult for anyone to really comprehend unless they have experienced it firsthand. Supporters claimed that reports of private apologies could be explained by this pressure alone, even exist at all. The emotional cacophony became intolerable, not because someone confessed to wrongdoing. Many people who have experienced overwhelming turmoil in their own lives found resonance in the thought that someone would apologize only to calm the storm. The tone gradually changed from indignation to something more akin to fatigue as the conversations went on. After watching the narrative, viewers acknowledged that they were exhausted but couldn't take their eyes off it. The authors of the commentary discussed how repetition is a key component of contemporary gossip culture. If a claim is repeated enough, it doesn't need evidence to feel genuine. Fans started admitting that they were caught up in that cycle. Yandy's involvement in the story remained a focal point, but its significance changed as she reacted emotionally before challenging the source. Many supporters began to show respect for her restraint rather than pressuring her to make pronouncements. They claimed that remaining silent during a chaotic situation can be a self-preservation tactic. Some viewers speculated on the burden she would be carrying in private, juggling loyalty, annoyance, and the need to keep her family safe. Her silence was interpreted by many as a sign of control rather than avoidance. Spiraling out of control, additionally, Tamar's role in the narrative acquired deeper symbolic meaning. Supporters talked on how upsetting it must be to have your name associated with something so intimate through nothing more than internet rumors. Fans contended that emotional harm might still occur even in cases where rumors are untrue. Many commended her for refraining from speaking in public, stating that often a person's quiet is their toughest barrier. Sketch. In the face of public conjecture, this concept spurred more extensive discussions about dignity and self-respect. An additional emotional burden was added by the online discussion of the family dynamic. According to commentary, circumstances like this can subtly undermine relationships in ways that are never captured on television. Fans envisioned challenging discussions taking place away from social media, when confidence is required but certainty is unattainable. Once disturbed by rumors, trust is difficult to regain. Because the facts were hazy, viewers felt that the story was achingly human. People started to doubt their own part in spreading such claims as the story developed. Some said that they didn't carefully read the headlines before sharing them. Others claimed to have made impassioned remarks before considering the consequences. This introspection was incorporated into the discussion. Fans admitted that when curiosity and empathy clash online, curiosity usually prevails. The conversation took on a more contemplative tone as awareness grew. A recognizable trend started to be highlighted by commentary outlets. There's a rumor. Reactions blow up. One interprets silence as confirmation. The holes are filled by imagined motivations. The emotional harm is already done by the time any clarity appears, if it ever does. According to viewers, this story nearly precisely adhered to the pattern. Some were uncomfortable with that realization because it made them face how predictable the cycle has become. The concept of repair was another important element that surfaced. Fans argued over whether it is really possible to repair the emotional damage caused by speculation. Some people think that understanding and private discussions can finally mend wounds. Some contend that once something is made public, discussion, regardless of how subtly it is handled later, it makes a lasting impression. Deeper concerns about memory, responsibility, and forgiveness were expressed in this dispute. The story became increasingly metaphorical as it went on. Instead of viewing it as merely a celebrity drama, viewers began to see it as an illustration of how vulnerable reputations are in the internet age. According to commentary, this was more about a system that prioritizes speed and shock over accuracy and care than it was about a single rumor. This viewpoint made the story more than just amusing. Some fans expressed hope that incidents like these may promote greater responsibilities surrounding delicate subjects, even as it continued to exist in gossip sites. They stated that promises pertaining to health should never, even in theory, be regarded as entertainment. Some were more pessimistic, claiming that outrage culture will constantly find a new story to pursue, even while progress seemed sluggish as interaction gradually even out. The fact that this discourse took place at all indicated a growing awareness. The narrative shifted from dramatic breakthroughs to lasting effects. Viewers pondered how this would affect everyone's future interactions. Would there be longer-lasting distance, tighter boundaries, or guarded conversations? Fans admitted they might never find out. For the first time, a lot of people appeared to embrace, rather than resist, that uncertainty. In the end, a feeling of silent recognition prevailed over the conversation. People understand that even false rumors can do harm. They understand that silence can be interpreted in a variety of ways. Additionally, they acknowledge that public life frequently necessitates resilience that seems unjust. This realization tempered the story by substituting thoughtfulness for rage. The tale didn't feel like a scandal by the time the commotion subsided. It served as a reminder of the speed with which words may spiral out of control, the ease with which conjecture can eclipse empathy, and the enduring emotional impact of rumors. Instead of answers,